And I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Gambia, to be followed by the Netherlands, Sri Lanka, and Mali.
Thank you very much. Co-chairs, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. The Gambia has remained unfairly very vulnerable to the ill effects of climate change, which it has an insignificant contribution to. Though the whole world is said to be generally responsible, the emission of greenhouse gases has the accusing finger on other nations. Certainly, blame cannot be branded on the African continent, given its tiny involvement in industrialization. Such it is that we generally see ourselves as wearing the non-admired shoes of scapegoats. However, it is equally unfair to reject involvement, Earth being its tiny entity. The spark of a candle, as we all know, has its micro contribution, even though in comparison to factory emission, it is far less than a drop in the Pacific. That aside, we have cars and generators, so whatever the argument, we are in the problem, though nowhere close to the middle of its course. Nevertheless, the remedy so to the prevention of further trouble with the environment demands our maximum contribution. It equally weighs on our shoulders to save the biodiversity on which hinges human survival. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the Republic of the Gambia remains highly committed and will continue to give top priority to the implementation of all plans, not least the Yogo Framework for Action, which occupies center stage in the whole fight against weather-based disasters. The Gambia has put in place all it takes to make it work, thanks to the existence of the Yogo Framework, the will, and the support from other partners. Before I end, I find it fitting to make mention of strides in the collective efforts against disasters. May I, on that note, take this opportunity to acknowledge the European Union for their invaluable support rendered to the government of the Republic of the Gambia in the drainage, sanitation, and waste management projects, which have identified 7 hotspots for intervention. This followed the severe 2012 floods, which badly affected over 40,000 people, the meaning being wholesale economic loss for the whole nation. We equally appreciate the support of other partners like the Japanese government and the people of Japan as well. Mr. Chair, the Gambia government is also aware that 2014 marks the end of the 4-year step-up campaign on disaster risk reduction, which raises awareness and positive advocacy. Significant in its implementation is partnership. Reasons for our President's directive to constitute a body tasked with coordinating and monitoring the implementation of the HFA, whose final treatment is scheduled for Sendai, Japan in March 2015. This body will help the national platform monitor progress and put in place realistic and achievable targets from 2015 on to be guided by the current under review strategic action plan document of the Republic of the Gambia. The institutional frameworks have been reviewed for possible harmony of the three and in line with the HFA. The initial act of 2008 and other documents, however, failed to take on board the issues of climate change adaptation, which needs to be integrated into the government policies and strategies at all levels. Mainstreaming of disaster into our government policies and planning processes has become a priority for the government of the Republic of the Gambia. Ladies and gentlemen, while we remain optimistic about the zero draft as a guide, it is our hope we find common ground to disaster risk reduction. I thank you all for your kind attention.
I thank the distinguished representative from the Gambia.